Today on the Skid Factory, we're building some scaffolding so we can continue working on the Cummins powered patrol. We could use scaffolding, but we'll probably just take the wheels back off. That also works. We've been busy fiddling around with some plumbing and stuff like that on the Cummins truck. I was going to say truck. It is a truck. It's a cardinal sin in Australia to call your small four-wheel drive a truck. Anyway, we've heat-proofed all the hoses coming in and out of the heater with some Raceworks fire sleeve, just to protect it from the exhaust. Also good protecting from things rubbing on it where it's contacting. So that's all sorted all the way through. Got pretty much all our cooling systems sorted out now. Just got to do a couple more clamps and stuff here and there. Oil feed I've done. Got to do the drain. I can't find the drain. I think I might have left it on the turbo when I gave it to...
Yeah. And so, do you leave it with Jackson?
I'll message him, but that's no big deal. We've been fiddling around with all this other stuff, just trying to tidy everything, get it ready for pulling. We're going to pull it back apart again and get everything powder coated once we finish fabricating. So just want to make sure everything's where it's supposed to be. Woody's put the transmission filler tube in. It's just a generic Hughes 4L80 one, but we just cut the bracket off, bent it here and there, and welded a new bracket on so it fits. So that's accessible now. It actually fits pretty well. Modified the wastegate because it was going to hit the airbox. Just moved it forward and shortened some stuff. It's all good to go. Fitted the transcooler. Got it rubber mounted up on here. I think they were originally fan mounts. I think they were rubber mount things. So I've chosen to rubber mount that. These things are prone to separating if you stress them out. So it's better to leave them sort of rubber mounted and a bit dangly rather than solid mounting them, and they're not the strongest core in the world. We'll run some plumbing for that, just dash 6200 I think we're going to use. And that'll be that all done. Now we're working on the fiddly bits. We've got to go inside the car and make the shifter fit, and also make the high-low transfer shifter work. Because we've moved the transfer case back 100mm, it really buggers up the way that the lever works. It just sort of goes like this, so it does climb up when you pull it between two-wheel drive, four-wheel drive high, and then four-wheel drive low. It actually moves up into the cabin just because of the way the lever works. But when you move it backwards and also extend it to account for that, it climbs up even worse. So it looks a bit dicky, but we've got to fiddle around and just be pretty specific about where the extension is and what angles we use, just so it fits within the console space and doesn't bind up on stuff. So that's a bit of an effort. We've got to also plate in the manual the transmission cover, the tunnel cover, that has the gear stick boots and stuff in it. It was a manual, so it's got a hole for the manual shifter, so we're going to plate that in. You can get an auto version of it, but I've rung around and no one seems to have them or be interested in selling me one, so we're just going to get some tin out and fold some stuff up and do that instead. Mount the shifter. We've already got all the levers and stuff hanging off the side of the transmission itself, so we'll just mount up the shifter, get it all in the right place and send it home. Let's do it.
You've got to do this when you say send it. Send it,
do I?
Yeah.
Is that what bogans do when they're watching a burnout?
Yeah.
Yeah. This is an improvement. Never used this thing before and I don't know how to do it, but let's have a go.
look at you doing corners.
Hell yeah. Matt would be so proud.
Everyone's proud of you, Alan.
Oh no, baby, what is you doing?
Hi. Well, you're busy fiddling with 19 diggity Fairlanes, so someone's got to mount your shifter.
What have you messed up in here?
Nothing. Don't look what I've done. You can see that hole, but you're not allowed to see what I've cut out.
Okay.
Oh.
I'd rather not know, I think.
So we've got to mount the shifter, and if you were a truck, you'd have it up here so that you can bang gears. And if it was an aeroplane, you'd have it here so that... How do aeroplanes work? I'm not actually too sure.
I'm pretty sure they don't have
Maybe here.
4L80s in them. just quietly.
So this is getting mounted straight to that plate. That's the easiest solution. Don't have to make brackets to hold it up like there. Yeah, probably up there
What
somewhere.
I made the plate for, bro.
Somewhere up there would be better. Yeah, but that's just easy. Nutsert, done. Cable comes through the hole, through my crevasse of die grinding, and we're sorted. Steve-o.
Let him eat, Steve-o.
Let him eat. Hell yeah.
Steve-o's going to get cancer with that. All that durian.
Where is Steve-o? What happens to that car while
I think it just
Harry's not doing drag week?
chills in someone's paddock in America.
Come back, throw some spark plugs in, off you go.
Dig the ratness out of the turbos. So what are we up to then?
So cable's got to come through here. We've got to heat sheath the cable, pull this back out, nutserts, mount this,
Adjust.
paint this, adjusting, spend hours adjusting. There's like adjustment on this end, there's adjustment on the shifter end. Here, pass it, I can see down here too. And there's also adjustment on the... So you got adjustment on there, then there's adjustment
On the pinch nut.
on the pinch nut, which you can't
But
really
there's
see.
also a massive
which is there.
slot in the anchor for the pinch nut.
Yeah.
And then there's an adjuster on the other end as well.
Shouldn't it just work though? In theory.
Well, there's plenty of adjustment.
How come you haven't set up column shift on this?
I hate column shift.
I think that's what this is for too, is bench seats.
Yeah.
Maybe. Saudi spec.
There's another bolt here.
Another 2 bolts back there, yeah.
Big ones.
Yep. Oh, I broke your
Seat
console.
belts and
I
stuff.
broke your console too, sorry. Only the like where it mounts. Just the bottom of it. Standard woody
The
things.
pain is real.
Using 5/8 stainless tube, the lever can be extended to allow for the new position of the transfer case, which is roughly 100mm further back than standard.
We got the shifter and transfer lever all sorted. It was pretty hard to film under there, just there's so much stuff down there, it's hard to get in there.
Someone put an exhaust in the way.
Yeah, it's hard to get in and around. There's lots of bits of gearbox and transfer and exhaust and stuff everywhere. But Woody will do his best to try and piece it together with some editing.
Sure.
The transfer lever, we basically just extended it 100 mil, but you've got to be real careful about how it lifts, because you move it further back, it actually lifts up higher when you change through the pattern. So that's four-wheel drive, you got the slow range, so it does rise as it goes, which is a little bit more than what it did from standard. That's all good. The shifter is actually pretty sweet. We've got the factory boot from the manual around it, which is, I mean, in hindsight, I guess it needed something, but it just happened to fit well, so it's all good. In there, ready to go. Goes into D, and then you can flick it across and do your up and down shifts. It has got that indicator on the top of it, but I think I'm going to try and put a Haltech dash in it, so we'll be able to link it up and display gear position on the dash. That's the plan anyway. It's all pretty smooth, minimal chopping, so we're good to go. Might have to get the vacuum cleaner in here and get rid of some of the schmutz that the previous owners dribbled into the console, but that's pretty standard too when you pull a car apart. Might be some lunch in there for you, Woody.
There was a Donut King VIP card.
There'd 100% be some Macca's chips in there that are probably still in perfect edible order. Well, as good as they are when they're new anyway. Bound to be. One of the forgotten jobs of a engine swap is pretty much always air conditioning lines, or just making the aircon work after you've finished it. We haven't ever covered this before on any of our builds, because usually we just sort of take the thing well after it's finished and get it sorted out by Oldcock. So this time we're going to show you how it's done. We've been into Oldcock's and we've cut all our original pipes off.
It's all changed quite a lot, well, bar that one actually.
So that one I've just sort of bent and changed the position of it a bit. That's factory. That used to go down to the compressor, so I've chopped it off. And what Oldcock does is solder, or Shane solders these fittings on. So this is specifically for this purpose. They're a air conditioning specialist fitting. The soldering is aluminium, and it is a very specific product, so you can't just heat it up and jam some filler wire in there. It's a quite specific flux and that sort of thing to allow it to work properly. So we've done that with 4 fittings. So out of here, out of the dryer, which we've moved, and out of the other side of the high pressure into the condenser. So now we've got all our receivers on. We did make a sort of a bit of a custom
Oh yeah, we did do that.
pipe over there out of their steel pipes. And I also shortened the smaller pipe because it was clashing with the bonnet, because it just happened to be a rib there. So that's doable with steel. I've done it before on my Duramax Patrol, just shortened them so they didn't hit the bonnet. It's a bit fiddly, but that's certainly doable. So now we've got to just get the hoses, and it's actually a pretty simple job. You just sort of get your lengths right, find out your routing just like any other hose, chop them off, and then we're going to use a portable crimper to actually crimp the hoses on, that we've also borrowed off Oldcock. How many Oldcocks is that now?
That name again? 1-800?
You're going to have spend some time trying to figure out unique Oldcocks.
Did we mention that the condenser's been flipped?
Yes,
that's all right.
Yeah, we talked about that last time. So the other thing you need in your aircon lines is the service ports. So this one is original. That was still its factory location, so that's good. We got that one there. But the other one is long gone, so we are going to use just an inline one that will go on the line from the dryer to the evaporator. So that's your high pressure and that's your low pressure. So we'll probably put that around here somewhere so it's easy to get at, and they're sort of close to each other, and that way they can be gassed up and pressures read. You can gas up just through one port. but you can't. If you can't read the pressures, you're sort of flying a bit blind as to whether the system's working properly. So it's best to have both ports available. This is Alcock's portable crimper. So it's kind of just some crimping dies with a portable ram. There's two different types of die with different sizes within those. So these are the traditional old school 8, 10 and 12 sizes, and these are SRB, which is modern hoses. They actually reduce the physical size of the hose significantly, so they take up way less room in the engine bay. The older stuff is not great to work with because they're so big. So these are the more modern type of hose, so different size of course. So that's what we're using. We'll do a number 6 first.
Number 8.
Sorry, number 8. What Woody said.
Number 8.
So you just line up the crimping dies in the middle of the what's it called?
I'll just call it a fitting.
The fitting, okay. The bit that gets crimped by the dies. There's a little spot hole here that you can ensure that your hose is fully seated, so you can see it going in. Mm-hmm. And then you just pump this until you can't pump it anymore. If it leaks, it'll probably be out of the weld that I did. I've left myself a little bit extra length just in case we have to redo this later on. So as you can see, the hose is sort of laying down on the airbox, which is obviously not ideal. So you can do this with AN fittings as well, is just sort of wind some tension into the hose, which will hold it up. And we mark it with the tension on it, and then crimp to the mark. So the first one fitting you do, you don't have to do anything to it, you just crimp it. And the second fitting, you'll usually have to mark it to get it in the right proximity. If your hose needs any heat sort of protection on it, it's probably better off to put it on before you do the second crimp, rather than trying to squeeze it over the top afterwards. Pretty much just got to repeat the process for the rest of these hoses, and then it'll be ready for some O-rings and gassing up once everything's working, engine-wise. That's our aircon system all plumbed up, ready to go. Just needs some O-ring and some gas and a new dryer, and it'll be operational once the engine works. We're going to get high pressure out of the compressor, change of state in the condenser so it sheds heat, through into the evaporator, another change of state so it absorbs heat, and then back into the compressor. That's how aircon works. If you want more explanation than that, Google it. As Alcock said, it's not rocket science. You just need the right tools to do the job, and one of them's got to be your brain, and you've got to use it. A few more plumbing jobs, and then we'll be probably getting close to firing this bad boy up. I've got to do some power steering, some vacuum, and the big one's the fuel system. Just waiting on some bits and pieces, a pump and filter arrangement for that, and then we'll get stuck into it. Everyone probably wants to see this thing running, and I'm probably one of them, so we'll get to it ASAP. If you want to check out some more Skid Factory love, go to Facebook if you are on Facebook. We've got a thing called the Skid Factory Fan Club there, which is not a dank meme fest. So if you want to join up, please do. If you want to post dank memes about shit, don't, because I'll delete you.
What's a dank meme?
I don't know. It's what the kids say.
Post up your project cards, let us know, show us your new light shirts, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, just to hang out on Facebook for Skid Factory people. But no dank memes, or I will delete you. And I'll enjoy it too. I love deleting people. That's all we got time for. Thanks for coming along the journey of building a Cummins powered patrol with us, and we'll see you next week. Thanks for watching.
How good are nutserts, eh?
They are good. What's the metric standard for how good a nutsert is?
Of how good is.
How good? How good is it?
How good is like
Good.
very good.
Don't know how you rate it.
So like how good I reckon would be like 8 out of 10. 7 out of 10 maybe.
10 watts.
10 being the best. 10 goods.
10 goods.
Very good would have to be a 10 out of 10.
You sold me.
Or that'd be the best then, wouldn't it?
But how do you know what the best nutsert is?
Are we just talking about nutserts or are we talking about good in general?
No, nutserts.
I'm confused.
That's the subject that we're on about.
Oh.
Happy?
Yeah.
How'd you fall off?
I just cooked it and whiskied the eyeballs out of it. Nothing like a 300 at full noise.
And then what happened?
Well, I wasn't on it at that stage, so I was plummeting to the ground with all my force.
How'd you get the bike out?
We got 3 guys to skull drag it out of the vines. Yeah, it was good.
Did anyone make fun of you?
It was pretty fresh. It was like, it would have been a good 3 minutes into the ride by then, so no messing around. Good fun.
Oh.
Now I've got a sore hip. My neck and my back. All of those things.